without hope and no place to begin. Your love made a way to let mercy come in. When death was arrested and my life began. Cash was redeemed. The cash was redeemed, only really repaid. My orphan heart was given again. My morning grew quiet, my feet rose to dance. When death was arrested and my life began. Oh, your grace so free washes over me. You have made me new, now life begins with you. It's so endless love pouring down on us. You have made us new, now life begins with you. Redeemed from my chains, I'm a prisoner no more. My shame was a ransom, He faithfully bore. He canceled my debt and He called me His friend. When death was arrested and my life began. Oh, your grace so free washes over me. You have made me new, now life begins with you. It's so endless love pouring down on us. You have made us new, now life begins with you. Our Savior displayed on the criminal's cross. Darkness rejoiced as though heaven had lost. But then Jesus arose with a freedom in hand. Death was arrested and my life began. Oh, your grace so free washes over me. You have made me new, now life begins with you. It's so endless love pouring down on us. You have made us new, now life begins with you. Yes, we're free, free, forever we're free. Come join us all, all the redeemed. Yes, we're free, free, forever and ever. Death was arrested and my sin. Yes, we're free, free, forever we're free. Come join us all, all the redeemed. Yes, we're free, free, forever and ever. Death was arrested and my life began. When death was arrested and my life began. Yes, when death was arrested and my life began. Woo. That's what grace does. Changes everything. It stops the death. That's what we deserved. In Matthew 18, it tells that last night that Peter denied association with Jesus 3 times. 3 times Peter denied association with Jesus Christ. It's a colossal failure of faith. 3 times, 3 strikes. You would think, in our understanding of the world, that Jesus would judge Peter unworthy of the great call of the apostles. But that's not the currency God uses. What is the currency God uses? A grace that forgives, a grace that gives second chances, a grace that restores. That's the currency that God uses. And God extended undeserved grace to Nineveh. They responded, they believed, and it says God withheld destruction. But God also extended undeserved grace to Jonah. He was a prophet, called, gifted, and empowered by God to important service, an important message. But Jonah ran away and prioritized his own will and his own judgment over God's. But God restored Jonah's position and purpose. God restored Jonah's position and purpose. That's also grace. There are 2 forms of grace given in the story. One to a nation, one's unbelieving, one's evil, and one to a believer who turned his back on God. Pretty much that just encompassed all of humanity. You fit into one of those boats. I hope it doesn't take a great fish to turn you around, but maybe it will. Maybe God's going to use this holy crowbar and get things changed for you to set you on the right path. God's going to work at changing your heart because He has a mission for you. He has a purpose for you. You have been given a gift and an opportunity. You've been given a great privilege to be able to extend the message of Christ and the grace of God. So in closing, sometimes we stumble in our faith. These are some realities I was thinking of. Sometimes we stumble in our faith. It's true. We all stumble. And sometimes our minds overwrite God's promises. That means we think too much about it. You may resonate with that. You're overthinking it. God promised He was going to do this. God promised He was fighting for you. God promised He would be victorious in your life. Don't overthink it. Trust it. Believe it. But sometimes our minds overwrite God's promises. And sometimes we fail in our purpose. Sometimes we're not doing what God has gifted us and called us to do. And we're just too busy in our own will, in our own lives, in our own grind of life. So maybe we're denying God our lives. I think we all fit these, and sometimes we even run away. Sometimes we're the prodigal son. Sometimes we're Jonah. We tend to add all these things together to show why we're a hopeless causes. Why it's no use surrendering to God anymore, and we end up slapping a tag, like a name tag on our chest, and it reads, not good enough. Not good enough. But I want you to hear this from 2 Corinthians 12:9. My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is perfected in weakness. Wow. My grace is sufficient, no matter the case that you find yourself in. My power is perfected in your weakness, because it shows the might of God and the grace of God and the creative intelligence of God, that He would use even us. That's the message for this morning. We want to give you an opportunity in prayer to just be reminded about grace, be refreshed in your life about grace, to know that grace is the most glorious identity of God that interacts with us. We need the grace of God. Just pray with me. Lord, open our eyes to your grace. Open our hearts to your grace. Let us believe in your grace, your mercy, your love for us. Let us know that even when we are a stubborn people, and even when we stumble, even when we overthink it, even when we run away, Lord, your grace is sufficient for us when we stop, when we allow you to be God in our lives. So let us say yes to you. In Jesus' name, amen. Marvelous grace of loving Lord, grace that exceeds the sin and the guilt. Yonder on Calvary's Mount outpour, there where the blood of the Lamb was spilled. Sing grace, grace. Oh, grace, grace, God's grace, grace that will pardon and cleanse and make. Grace, grace, God's grace, grace that is better than all our sin. Marvelous infinite grace. Marvelous infinite matchless grace, freely bestowed on all who believe. Children are longing to sing his praise. Will you this moment his grace receive? Oh yeah. Singing grace, grace, God's grace, grace with golden and grace within. Grace, grace, God's grace, grace that is greater than all us. We're singing grace, grace, God's grace, grace that will pardon and cleanse within. Grace, grace, God's grace, grace that is better than all our sin. May y'all be blessed this week. May you just walk in the grace of God. Thank you for joining us, and I pray that you're encouraged and inspired in this service. We'll see you next time. Happy Mother's Day. Just take that on.